Hey you guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we are talking about the spawn. It's mid-April. Bass are moving into the shallows. They are spawning now all over the country. And today we're going to talk about some of the small details, the little things that you can do that will make a huge difference when you're sight fishing. This has been a funny year for us. You know, we were fishing the pre-spawn here at home in Tennessee, but then we started traveling and we went south. We've actually got one more Texas video for you guys that'll run here in a few days, wrapping up that trip. We just got back to Tennessee. I'm out on Chickamauga today. But this has been a funny year because we jumped from the pre-spawn all the way to the post-spawn and sort of missed the spawn in between. But now that we're home, here it is mid-April, the new moon just passed, and fish make big moves on a new moon, just like they do on a full moon. So the new moon just passed, fish are shallow in most of the country now, and the spawn, if it has not already started for you, is right around the corner. The full moon will be here in, a week and a half or so, and those fish are moving up. So today I want to talk to you guys about a few misconceptions, some things that you can do, some errors that you can avoid that will make a huge difference, and then we'll get into specific baits and things like that. But I want to talk about some of this other stuff first. Now, first off, the spawn, it can be a volatile topic. Some people are all for bed fishing and sight fishing. Some people are completely against it. I'm here today to help you do it properly. I do ask that during this time of year, these fish, they need to be put right back. So if you catch a great big bass when you're sight fishing, take pictures with that thing, take measurements if you want to get a replica, but put that fish right back. I don't advocate for taking them away from the bed where they're spawning. Now that said, in most parts of this country, it's perfectly legal to do, and we want to help you guys understand how to sight fish, how to bed fish, because this is an important time of the year, and it is an opportunity for people all over the place to catch a personal best, to catch a great big bass. You just want to be careful with them because this is the time of year where that fish is spawning, laying those eggs that are going to keep your lake going into the future. So be gentle with those fish. Don't keep them out of the water for long periods of time and get them right back. Now, with that said, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. First couple of things have nothing to do with baits or anything like that. I want to talk about proper glasses. I want to talk about your gear and boat placement, or this is where bank anglers really want to pay attention because this is where you have the advantage over a guy in the boat. Then we'll get to baits. So first thing is glasses. I mean, you talk sight fishing, you have to talk glasses. How many times have you heard people say, man, you better have a good pair of glasses if you're going sight fishing? That is very true, but you also need to understand what that means. So most of us wear a green or a gray lens day in and day out. Come sight fishing time, most people get an amber lens, okay? That is 100% the best sight fishing lens that you can get in a lot of circumstances, but not every circumstance. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So we're going to address some of these misconceptions a little bit so that you have a full understanding and you're making sure that the odds are as much in your favor as possible. So when it comes to glasses, you need glasses because it is literally sight fishing. You're up in the shallows, you're in the backs of pockets, you're looking for fish that are sitting on a bed, that have made a nest and are protecting that area, and you can flip in there and catch those fish. Now again, some people are completely against it. I respect that, but I also respect that some people want to do it, and we're going to help you with that. So glasses, you need to be able to see in the water. Amber glasses will light up the water. They make it brighter. It makes it so much easier to see these fish because the fish will stand out against the bottom if you can cut the glare and see them. So amber glasses are critical. In clear water, it's everything. I mean, you can see 2 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet deeper than a guy that has no glasses or the wrong glasses, and it makes all the difference in the world. Now, you guys know that we just came out with our own glasses. These are the TacticalBassin sunglasses that we did with I Surrender. I'll link them down in the video description along with the baits and all that stuff. But get a pair of Ambers, whether you get ours or you get a cheap pair because you're just going to sight fish a little bit, get a good pair of glasses. Now that said, this is where some people have a misunderstanding. You see these are copper lenses, and hopefully you guys are able to see through them right now. Amber lenses light up everything, and generally speaking, that's a good thing. It lights everything up. You can see deeper, you can spot those fish, you can see how they're positioning, you can see where your bait is, and you can target them effectively. The downside is that if there's sediment in the water, okay, if there's algae, if there's just dirt in the water, if it's, you know, after a spring storm, it gets a little murky. Ambers light up everything. They light up the bottom and they light up the sediment. So it can still be hard to see through. Coppers see through that sediment way, way better than amber. So if you're fishing really clear water, 100% amber lenses. If you're fishing water with sediment in it, you know, a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet of visibility, 100% you need to go copper lenses. It will make all the difference for you, and you will see way better than you saw in the past with any other lens color, even an amber lens. So that's what people mean when they're telling you to get some good glasses to go sight fishing. Make sure you're getting the right pair for you and for where you fish. So that's glasses. Now this is kind of a silly one, but trust me, it matters. Pay attention to what you're wearing. This is not the time of year to wear bright red, bright orange, chartreuse, white. Wear some duller colors. Pay attention to your hat. This is not my ideal hat for fishing out here today. If I'm trying to see a fish in the water, I don't want to be wearing a bright color where they're going to immediately spot me. That sounds silly. Some of you heard that and you're like, no, he took it too far for me. Try it. Bring a red shirt. Find a bedfish. Work with them. When that fish is all fired up and you know you could catch him, put a red shirt on, stand back up, and see if that fish doesn't lock right back down. And you have to start that process all over, and it takes way longer. It really does matter. So you don't necessarily need to be wearing camo, but just pay attention. Wear dull colors. It really will speed up the amount of time that it takes you to work with a fish and get them to bite, and you will catch more fish. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? You really will catch more fish because you're moving more quickly when you're wearing duller colors and you're not standing out bright and bold to those fish that are there in the water looking right back at you. Now, boat positioning, and then we'll get to baits. Boat positioning, in a perfect scenario, you always want to be on the shallow side of the fish. So if I'm running down a bank here and I spot a bedfish, the easiest thing to do is just to stop right there and throw right to him, towards the bank, throw to that fish. And sometimes I do that. But if you find a fish that's nervous, they're cautious, they just do not want to interact with you, a lot of times it's because you're blocking their access to deep water. Okay, I'm flying through these things. I want you guys to have some of these tips so that you can immediately put them to work for you, because it's that time of year. So if that fish is nervous, pay attention and don't block their way to deep water. It makes a difference. Move up to one side or the other, then throw along the shore to that fish instead of in from deep water. And they will be much more comfortable if they know that they can turn and bail out to deep water. I mean, a big fish does not want to be up in this much water spawning. They just have to be. So they're cautious. They're cautious every other day of the year, but they have to be up there now. If you block that way out, their behavior changes. You can tangibly see the change. So give them room, get up along the shore, and parallel along the shore to that fish, if at all possible. That's where the bank angler has the advantage. If those beds are up shallow, a guy walking the shore, you are set. The best thing you can do is wear a really dull color. Wear a camo, wear a brown, wear a green. Match your background. If you're moving slow on the shore, they have no idea you're there, and you can work way more effectively than a guy on a boat. Because even when I'm tucking up against the bank, there's still the presence of a giant boat, right? There's still my presence standing up against a blue sky backdrop from that fish's angle. When you're on the bank, you're silhouetted up against a tree line. You have a huge advantage. There have been times over the years where I found a giant fish and I go around the corner and ditch my boat and walk back and catch them from the bank because it makes that big of a difference. You've got to do what you got to do when you find one of those giants. Now, onto the baits. Oh, I'm sure you guys noticed by now that I have a Band-Aid on my face. Not a big deal, just a quick update for you. I had another small biopsy done. Most of you know I had a skin cancer removed over here in the fall. We had another little concern spot here. I'll get some information here in like a week or so, but I don't think this one is anything. We just wanted to be careful, but that's why I have a Band-Aid on my face today. On to the baits. Most people, when they think sight fishing, are thinking a white jig, a white creature, a white worm, maybe bright chartreuse or methylate, a bright pink. I lean to way more natural colors, and it makes a huge difference. Now, that's not to say that a chartreuse or a white isn't a great option. It is. The reason you want to use those is because when you're interacting with a fish, it's very easy to see when they eat the bait. Because a lot of times a sight fish will just nip at a bait, right? They'll just grab the back and carry it away and drop it. Grab the back, carry it away and drop it. And they'll do it over and over again. They'll never get the hook. If you're throwing a dark color, it's hard to know when they've got the hook. So that's a huge advantage of a bright bait, is you can see when it's gone and you know to set. That said, if you're in a fishery where a lot of people are pressuring those fish, you don't need to throw a bright color. It is a huge misunderstanding. You are way better off with natural tones. Way better off. So don't be afraid to throw the stuff that you would normally throw. Now, I throw some very specific natural tones. Very specific. In the past, I didn't. Like, any green pumpkin is great. It'll work. You'll catch a lot of fish. But I found a couple of colors, specifically magic craw and tilapia, that just seem to make all the difference in the world. They're baits that have some of that blue in them. Can you see the blue shining in there? This is tilapia. This is magic craw or magic craw swirl, depending on the brand. Makes a huge difference in the spring. I mean, no question, if I could have one color, magic craw. If a company doesn't make magic craw, tilapia. That's it. It's really that easy because it works that much better. Now, that said, I still carry those bright colors. Fish do just attack them. They hate those colors and they will eat them. But if you're on a fishery where it gets tough because there are other boats doing the same thing, forget all about it, set it aside. Now, we'll circle back here in a second on specific colors, but that brings me to this. This is another tip for you, and that is your hook. This you rig weedless, you know, like a Texas rig. Here, this nose hook, it's an exposed hook. Given a choice, I fish all exposed hooks when I'm sight fishing. Okay, I don't typically throw a Texas rigged anything. I don't typically throw a shaky head. Now, it's not to say they won't work, but here's where the trick is. You see a lot in our underwater footage where fish will pick up baits and thrash them and spit them right out, or fully engulf them and blow them back out. Bass are fast. When they're on the beds, they're really fast because they don't even want to eat the bait. They're either trying to kill it or get it off of their nest. So they're just in and out, in and out. Timing that, especially with a natural colored bait to hook those fish, is brutal. And one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is hook setting hard too soon. If you've got a fish that's nervous and you smash a hook set, and they didn't have it, they're done for. You're not gonna catch that fish. They're not gonna pick that bait back up. The key is to only set when the time is right and to set one time. When you see that guy sitting there setting the hook, pitch him back in, setting the hook, pitch him back in, setting the hook. Don't be that guy. Do it right. To do it right, you want an exposed hook, whether that's an exposed hook drop shot. Now you guys know I don't do a lot of finesse fishing. Not that I don't do it, but it's not my favorite thing to do. I drop shot bedfish a lot. Exposed hook. Ned Rig, another bait I use a ton for bedfish. Exposed hook. Instead of Texas rigging a creature bait, this is an owner ball head. I put it on there with an exposed hook. Again, my bluegill baits. We haven't even got there yet. Exposed hook. The only exception is a jig. It's the only exception. It's still an exposed hook, but I want a weed guard. We'll come back to that. The benefit of the exposed hook, when I see that something has happened, if I just pick up a little, don't set, I just pick up and I get it tight. If they've got the back of the bait and I pull, they'll let go. If they've got the bait and I put that pressure on there, I pull a little bit, that hook point will bite. It'll stick. Even though I didn't set, it'll catch. If I feel it catch, full hook set. So that's why, whether it's a drop shot, whether it's a creature, whether it's a Ned Rig, it doesn't matter. I fish that exposed hook because all I have to do is lift up, and if it catches, smash them. If it doesn't catch, make that next cast. And you don't have to be that guy setting over and over and over again, scaring those fish. Now again, circling back on color, when it comes to creatures, when it comes to jigs and jig trailers, tilapia and magic craw. When it comes to drop shot, I use a very specific bait. This is a Big Bite Baits Smallie Smasher. It comes in 2 sizes. I use both sizes. But this bait, again, has that blue. And this color, it's some crazy name. So I'll link the very specific baits with specific colors in the video description. But the color on this thing is like green, pumpkin, purple, orange, blue, black, or something like that. It's like the world's longest name. But I'll link it for you because that color is just this perfect bluegill type color, and it flat gets bit when those fish are up on beds. Now, bluegill swim baits, and then we'll circle back to the jig because I said that was the exception. Bluegill swim baits are another place. If you're going to try and throw a bigger presentation, a bluegill bait will flat get it done. When bass are spawning, they hate bluegill. They don't want them anywhere around that nest, and they will defend it with the last of what they've got to make sure those bluegill stay away. Bluegills are inherently a difficult profile. It's hard for a bass to eat them whole. So it can be frustrating when they're coming in and just grabbing it by the tail and pulling on it. But if you're patient, you will get those fish. You know, mat lures, a Savage Gear. The Savage Gear is a little tiny guy, and it's an amazing, amazing bed fishing bait with that exposed hook. They also make a bigger one now that is a line through with a treble on top, and that one is also phenomenal. It's similar in size to that. Mat lures. Mat lures is another great option. Again, I'll link you my favorites, but those bass do hate bluegill. So if you've got a fish that's kind of skirting around, won't quite commit, a bluegill bait being presented in there can get that big fish to come right on in and start getting involved. A lot of times you'll be fishing and just the male is interacting and the female is acting like she doesn't care. A bluegill bait can get her to come right in there and join in, and you've got a shot at catching that giant. Now, last is the jig. And the reason why the jig is there is because it works. I mean, let's just get down to it. Jigs catch big ones. They are a great crawdad imitator. They're a great bluegill imitator. They're a large profile. When it's in the water and that skirt opens up, it's a large profile, and those fish don't want it around. The only downside of a jig is that there's a weed guard, so you can't quite do that gentle pull thing. That said, I still use it, and I still leave the weed guard because I could rip the weed guard out. But the advantage of a weed guard is that when you do stick those fish, and they've got it, and they've got it good, it's pressed down, it's buried in, it's sticking in the bone, it's sticking through the jaw. That weed guard is applying upward pressure, it's applying back pressure against the jaw where that hook is pinned, and it helps hold it in. So what does that mean to you? That means that if you're patient, you're wearing the right sunglasses so that you can see clearly, and you see that fish fully eat that jig, and you smash them, the odds of you getting that giant bass, that fish of a lifetime, in the boat is phenomenal. That back pressure holds that jig in place. So what I'm telling you is that if I hook them on an exposed ball head, that fish can come and jump and they might come off. If I get them on that weed guard, I've got a way higher odds are in my favor that that fish is coming in the boat. So that is why I continue to use it, even though I can't use that pressure method. If that fish is being funny, I set it down, I accept that that fish could jump and come off, but I've got proper gear, I'm gonna be careful, and I switch to that open ball head and just stick those fish. So you kind of got to go fish by fish by fish. It's not like you can go to the lake with one of these baits and get every bedfish. You need to have an arsenal. You need 3, 4, 5, 6 options. And when you come to a fish, start with your favorite, start with your best. But if that fish isn't responding, switch again, switch again. You'll find the bait that they want to eat, and you can get that fish. And then again, with that jig, there's 2 or 3 jig colors that make a huge difference. That magic craw, like a warmouth, a bluegill, those types of tones paired up with trailers that have that little bit of blue in them is all it takes. I mean, if I have to go around the country during the spawn and I can have one color, I'm right there. I want that blue in that trailer. I want it in that worm. I want it in that creature. It just seems to get them when they're spawning. Other people are telling you white, chartreuse, and I don't disagree. I don't. But there's a lot of fishing pressure this year. The world changed last year. There are a lot of new anglers. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, go natural. Guys, again, that was a lot of baits. We went about it rather quickly. Down in the video description, I'll break it all out so it's really simple. It's really laid out. The baits and the favorite colors, the jig with the trailers, to make it really simple for you. Get out there. It is prime time. The full moon is right around the corner. It's just a few days away. Fish are going shallow. This is a time of year where you can catch a giant bass. But again, I do ask that you treat those fish with respect. Don't drag them around the boat. Get them back in the water as quickly as possible. Get them returned to that bed. If you want to get a mount, get a replica. They last longer, they look better. It's the way to go. But again, get out there and go fishing. That's the important thing. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We do 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do bonus videos. Who knows when those come. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.